Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Monday, March 23rd, 2024. I am Reverend Dr. Durrel Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we are here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. What do millions of LGBTQ+ in rural America do when they have no church? Reverend Durrel has recently been on a quest for a progressive church in his rural hometown of 60,000 people, which sheds light on the challenges faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in conservative areas. He found out that despite being just hours away from urban centers, options for inclusive worship are scarce. Formerly welcoming churches have shifted towards conservatism, leaving LGBTQ+ individuals with limited choices. This experience gave him another reason to believe in the impact of programs like Sunshine Cathedral's online broadcast and how Queer God Squad can impact the LGBTQ+ community of rural America. This experience highlighted the importance of virtual space for marginalized community. Mainstream cable services are available in these regions, but their offerings predominantly feature conservative evangelical religious channels, emphasizing the lack of representation of progressive voices. Reverend Durrel's experience underscored the necessity for inclusive churches to reach isolated LGBTQ+ individuals in rural America. He urges progressive communities to step up efforts to provide support and acceptance to those who feel marginalized and excluded from traditional religious spaces. In a time of heightened anti-LGBTQ+ sentiments, inclusive faith communities and programs are super important. His call to action resonates with the urgency of reaching out to those in need of affirmation and community. Studies show that there are an estimated 3 million LGBTQ+ individuals living in what is defined as rural America. Well, so welcome home.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting right here. And Durrel this and Durrel that. I'm sitting right here.
Welcome back from the front lines. But I think it does highlight the need of recognizing and naming our LGBT community that are in rural America. Because I'm one of those who came from a rural part of America as well, and didn't even there was no internet. Most of it, there was no such thing as internet back then. You found the magazines, you read what you read, you kind of knew what you knew. But it wasn't until a lot of us left home that this whole thing, the internet just became so accessible. Right. And so in 2024, I really want to encourage people that if you are in rural America, find some way to connect to the internet. I remember once going to my part of the rural America, I had to leave my little house and go to McDonald's just to get on a good internet. Yep. So it can happen. But the point is to find those places that you can connect with online, like a Sunshine Cathedral or other progressive, inclusive spaces that welcome you. And there is a need for marginalized communities to find connection with other communities. In 2024, you do not have to be isolated. Yeah. And there's many opportunities out there for you to connect. And sometimes you may even find some of that connection can happen in your own community once you reach outside of just where you are and thinking that you are the only one. Because chances are you're not the only one that is searching for what you're trying to find and is in need of what you're finding. Yeah.
There's never just one leaf on the tree. There's never just one weed in the garden. Well, it's never just one. So, and we are all, everybody at this table, it's from before the internet. I remember at university, I remember as an undergraduate hearing about this. Soon, this thing's gonna be possible. We're on your computer, you can be like, oh, whatever. That's gonna be for people with degrees in that, or for NASA, or like I didn't know my life would be like it'd be the central part of my life one day. But we remember it. We're from before all that, and so yeah, you must think we're dinosaurs. But we are some online using dinosaurs right now.
Amen.
So, because we remember we didn't have it, and you have it. So, you make the most of it. I remember coming out in the Boondocks, pre-internet.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know how I did it. I don't know why I did it. But I just couldn't keep it. I was too obvious, I guess. And I don't like secrets. I don't like anything. We're told in 12 steps, you're as sick as your secrets. If you feel like you have to hide something, that brings you shame. Mm-hmm. And so, but if you'll share your story, then it's not a burden, and you can. So I just had to come out. I had to tell folks, and I wasn't good at hiding it anyway. So I remember coming out in this rural mountainous area, and this is during the time of sodomy laws, when I broke the law with every intimate encounter. This is a time when marriage equality wasn't even a dream, much less a fight, much less a victory. Wasn't even like, who would even dare to dream of it? This is when AIDS was first making the headlines, just becoming a universal topic of conversation, and more than a decade before there were effective treatments to control it. A lot of funerals, a lot of losses in those days. The University Theater Department, the one gay club, which was half an hour away, and my few dozen queer friends who were at different stages of being out, were it for any kind of support. That little underground, that was my world. That's what I had. Notice there was not a steeple involved in any of that. So that small, almost underground community is all that kept people from dying alone. People were so ashamed and so afraid. We just knew every time that someone just had a really bad cold that wouldn't clear up, we knew what it was. Yeah. Or every time someone died of liver cancer or leukemia. Those were the two. Yes. Hiding, the masks, the beards. So anytime anyone, especially young people, died of leukemia or liver cancer, we knew. And if it wasn't for those of us who knew, many people would have died alone. And even at that, some people did. I am outraged to think that the leadership of at least one political party and many Christian denominations look back at that time as the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amen.
And they are trying to make our country be like that now. It was a lonely and scary and dangerous time for queer folk, and churches preaching cruelty and calling it the gospel were the primary engine behind that dystopian period. People need community. They need understanding. They need kindness. They need to know they matter more than your dogma and more than your political ideology, and that they matter more than your prejudices. Do better, rural America. Do better. Your LGBTQ neighbors deserve better. And until they get it, Sunshine Cathedral will be here for you by means of the miracle we call the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have a lot of work to do. We have a huge amount of work to do. I have an interesting story, though. I've shared with all of you that I have several family members, one of who is a woman living a trans experience. And several years ago, she was on the computer and she was looking and looking and looking, and I don't know what she was searching for, but she found Sunshine Cathedral. I know that name. Oh my gosh, that's my Aunt Anne, right? That's exactly how she found it. So it really is being able to search that and the power behind that. This young woman lives in a very, very rural, small town in the middle of nowhere, but she was able to find Sunshine Cathedral. We have a lot of work to do. And look how far we've come in so many years. I mean, really, COVID was the kickoff of quite a lot of this. We still have a lot to do, but look how far we've come. Yep. Yeah.
My experience in growing up is different than yours in the sense that I did not grow up in a rural area. I grew up in a very urban area. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. When I was growing up, though, there wasn't a whole lot of folk that looked and sounded like me. I remember in the early 70s was dating a guy, and he told me he wanted to go to church one Sunday evening. I'm like, church? I stepped away from church some time ago. But I went, and it was truly an affirming church. It was an MCC in New York City. So that was my first introduction to the possibilities that religion did not want to harm me, that I actually had a place at the table. So to hear the stories about how still today rural America is looking for a way to ensure that our children are safe, that there's a place that they can go to that affirms who they are and tells them again and again and again, you are the way God made you, you are the way you are supposed to be. And as long as there's one person out there that doesn't know that, I will try to make sure that they learn about churches like Sunshine Cathedral, learn about that we have a professionally done broadcast. We rival any other group that's out there in getting our message out clearly and cleanly and just so beautifully. So we not only preach the gospel the way we understand it, and that's the gospel of love, we also do it in a way that you can embrace, that you can hold on to, that you can say, I'm proud to know that that church is out there talking to me.
Yes.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.